Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's episode is going to be a review of Love Island 2020 episode 29. So obviously this episode was the aftermath of the whole headlines challenge and the fallout. We were all anticipating whether anyone's relationship was going to be permanently damaged or not. And then of course the whole Haughna and Luke situation. The first couple we see hashing things out is Shanice and Luke T. Obviously, Shanice says she's not happy, to the girl. She's saying, she's not sure if she can see him the same. She basically iterates to Luke T that, she felt disrespected and that what happened between them in the bedroom was meant to be just between them, and she thinks it's... I totally get where Shanice is coming from. I can definitely feel why she's disrespected. At the same time, I can see why Luke T might not think that he had done anything wrong. Amongst friends, conversations like these are normal, but of course, they don't ever get back to your partner. Luke accepts that he is in the wrong and apologizes. And it seems like, by the end of the episode, they have made up and they're back on track. So next on the hash it out train is Mike and Priscilla. Obviously Mike addresses the whole game player thing. He tells Priscilla he's not a game player and how he's been honest and he hasn't been moving mad. Priscilla says that he has been moving mad and how she's not going to be a last option and how he needs to now prove himself and he needs to make her feel special, blah, blah, blah. So like I said in my last podcast, I definitely think that this is an act from Priscilla to create a storyline for Mike and Priscilla. But I feel like the story is not making sense here because she says that she knows he's been moving mad. She knows all of this stuff about him. So she saw him jump from girl to girl to girl. And she was happy to be the fourth girl until this whole headline challenge, knowing all of this information. The story's not adding up. I'm all here for a good performance, but the narrative is a bit shaky in terms of the story that they're trying to sell to us. She's not trying to look like a robot that just nods their head. I get it, she's not trying to look like a game player who's just going along with Mike, but the story definitely needs some tweaking. On top of that, I think that Priscilla is also just trying to make a storyline for herself as well. She's like, you know what? I can't just rely on this relationship. I need to, make a little storyline for myself as well. I think there's a little bit of that going on as well. Next on the hash it out train, we have Finley and Paige. Finley, again, is just saying, it's not true and how everyone can vouch for me and how, he had conversations with, girls were talking to him and he shut that, girls were talking to him and he shut those conversations. He's saying, girls had conversations with him, but he shut it down. Paige is just suspicious. She's not really buying it. Paige is just suspicious. Paige is suspicious. She's not really buying it. And I think the reason why she's not buying it is because he's not a great liar. The way that he speaks, it sounds quite earnest. You can tell, especially yesterday, yeah? Did you see the way Finley's legs were shaking yesterday when the headline got called out? His legs were shaking yesterday. And Paige was like, those are the shaking legs of a liar. I just felt like Finley should have been honest because there was nothing wrong with what he did. All he did was basically say, his head is a little bit turned, but he didn't entertain it. That's not a crime. He should have just been honest. And then on top of that, all of that is, everything's just going to come, the truth is just going to come out when the show finishes anyway. So you might as well just admit it now, get the argument done, get the argument over and done with. But yeah, it's the same old with Paige and Finn. Finn apologizes and then they make up. Then next on the hash it out train is Callum and Molly. Now, I was a bit worried about Callum and Molly because I'm rooting for them. And I just feel like the producers were trying to play with Callum, after he got his emancipation, he's been enjoying his freedom, his healthy relationship, and they just try and, they try and ruffle some feathers. I wasn't really here for it. So I was particularly interested and worried about this conversation. But it was a very interesting conversation. Molly is grilling Callum, basically saying how is she meant to trust him, the headline, make it sound pretty sure that you have intentions to cheat. What have you said? And obviously Molly has expressed, reservations about her relationship with Callum throughout the time that she's been there. But I was kind of confused as to why she was so pressed in taking the headline into such serious consideration. Because I feel like in the nature of the house, if Callum did say anything along the lines of, I'm not really feeling Molly, I'm going to jump on the next girl that comes in, Molly would have heard about it, because everything travels around so fast in the house. Especially with Haughna in the house. Haughna probably would have caught whiff of that if that was true and snitched. So, again, I don't think that was realistic. And then also, they've been in close proximity with each other. If anything fishy was going on, she would have twigged that a long time ago. So, I was a bit confused as to why Molly was going in so hard for this headline. And then, Callum, poor Callum, he's there fighting for his relationship. He's trying to talk the talk. He's, adamant that he really likes Molly. He's saying, when he settled down with someone, he would never step out of the relationship. Obviously, Molly's like, well, what about Haughna? And he just basically skirts around that question. I feel like in his head he's thinking, Haughna don't count because I actually didn't really like her. He's just, saying that he really likes Molly and that, he's opened up. His actions prove that he really likes her. And then they have a little kiss and it's all good. But Molly's up in the confessional talking about she's glad that Callum isn't comfortable anymore, and she's glad that this happened because she doesn't want Callum to get too comfortable in their relationship. And she's there with this big ass smile on her face. I suspect that Molly wanted to keep Callum on his toes, that she didn't necessarily believe that the headline was true, but she definitely wanted to make Callum sweat. Okay, Molly. Okay, I see, girl. Treating mean, keeping keen. Pretty safe to say that Molly and Callum are back on track. Well, that was quick, like 24 hours there. Pretty much everyone is back together. Were the producers expecting that, though? That is the question. Obviously, coming into the final week, there is incentive there for these couples to put their differences aside to collect the bag, or at least try to. Are you surprised that everybody made up so quickly, or are you not surprised? And let me know your reasons why. Do you feel like most of it wasn't that big of a deal, or do you feel like people are, trying to make up and get that money? So obviously next is the kind of whole Demi, Haughna, Luke situation. We first see Demi and Luke getting quite cozy. She's in the confessional saying that, she's now gravitating towards Luke M. I always thought that she did prefer Luke M to this Jamie guy, but I think it's very interesting how these feelings have suddenly become more intense after she saw that juicy ass headline about Haughna and Luke M coupling up to get 50k. She obviously knows that Luke M is very popular now. I do think that she does actually fancy him, but I think there's definitely more incentive there for her to now suddenly just be gravitating towards Luke M. And then next, Haughna pulls Demi for a chat. And Haughna is just being hella dramatic. Unnecessarily dramatic. Haughna is acting here. She's faking this whole nervous act, this whole, girl, I've seen this shit before. But, obviously she tells Demi that she suddenly likes Luke. She says that she caught these feelings for Luke in the Snog, Marry, Pie challenge. The fuck, does that even make any sense? I'm sorry. These people need to get narratives together. They really need to get their narratives together. They need to actually start writing down the lies they're going to tell onto their note app and read it back and think, does this make sense? Is this believable? Because really, the snog marry pie challenge, really, that's when you just suddenly realised, come on, girl. I need the lies to be better this season, please. And she's also saying that she's not feeling Jamie and she's not going to force it with Jamie. But I feel like it's funny because you're definitely willing to force it with Luke M for this 50k girl. Demi is bothered because Haughna is now here interrupting her plans for her getting half of the 50k. And she's making some sly digs there, they always add that extra, oh, we can still be, we're still friends at the end for decoration. But Demi was being very sly there. She was saying, I thought you and Luke M were like brother and sister, And then suddenly now she doesn't like Jamie at all and she's just focused on Luke M now. And I feel like she was telling that to Haughna for her to be like, oh, well, maybe she should back off now because it'd just be a straight battle between the both of them. And then suddenly now she's crying in the confessional. And I understand why she's upset because it all seemed like it was all going to be nice and simple. She was already planning what she was going to spend her 25k on. And then Haughna's coming up in here to ruin her plans. Obviously, Demi is pressed now because Haughna is ruining her plans. And she tells Shanice, and Shanice is shocked that Haughna is now suddenly fancying Luke M. Shanice is not buying it. She's probably thinking, this is suspicious and, this reeks of gameplayage. I think we all know that's what Shanice was thinking. And she basically tells Demi, don't fall back. Go and tell Luke M how you feel. You're not out the race just because Haughna says that she likes him too. Whilst they're having that conversation, Haughna has now gone and pulled Luke M for a chat. And again, she's faking the whole nervous, fake stutter thing. Honestly, the whole time I was just thinking, I honestly do not buy this at all. This whole time, I have never seen her act like this. Not even for Callum, but for Luke M. She's stuttering over her words. And it wasn't even realistic. Like, you can tell it was a fake nervous stutter. But yeah, she basically tells Luke M that she likes him. And then, interestingly enough, she says that she's been feeling like this for a few weeks. Casa and Moore was last week. So how are you feeling? How are you having feelings for Luke M when you were crazy about Callum? That doesn't make sense. Again, the narratives here are not adding up. They're making up lies as they go along and they're not rehearsing them to see if they're actually foolproof. Obviously, Luke is in the confessional confused as fuck. He's basically saying, from what I have seen and heard, I'm not Haughna's type. So it's just very strange that she's now telling me that she has feelings. His head is scrambled. He also, tells the boys, Luke, the other Luke, the next day that he's basically going to get to know Haughna. He pulls her for a chat. They talk. And but his pretense was he was going to get to know Haughna because Demi was getting to know Jamie. Obviously, after he has that talk with Haughna, Demi does go up to him and basically says that she wants to continue getting to know him. But I don't understand why at that point she didn't explicitly say, I want to be with you. I feel like that would have been a good time to say that. Even now she hasn't explicitly said it, but I don't understand why she just didn't say that. But yeah, at this point, they're kind of teasing us a bit. So I think it's very clear that Luke M has sussed Haughna's game. He knows that Haughna is only showing interest in him purely as part of her game plan. But he's basically deciding whether he wants to go along with that because that could be a good choice for him in terms of that could be a sure way of getting his hands on the 50k, or whether he could go with Demi. That could be a success. Would their relationship be successful enough for them to win the 50k together? And I think that is the decision that Luke M is making. Another thing to note is that Demi was in the confessional basically saying how she wants to tell Haughna to back off but she knows that she can't. And then she's basically saying, you know, why can't somebody love me? And I was just like, girl, you are confused, because Luke M was ready to commit to you, but you wanted to go entertain in that silly goat Jamie. Another one who is just a bad actress, and another one who needs to actually go through their scripts and make some tweaks, because what you're saying is not making sense. Not that I really care, but I just feel like, for recapping, we see Natalia and Jamie kind of talking, getting a bit closer. And then a text comes through for recoupling, about time. It's just been getting hella boring. I just feel like it's time to just flip. It's time to start flinging people at the house at this point. So obviously it's boys pick and the girl not picked goes home. So obviously that kind of just calls into question. The three vulnerable girls are Natalia, Demi and Haughna, and it all depends the order of the picking and who picks who. So interestingly, Haughna tells Jamie that she doesn't like him, and basically saying not to waste his pick on her. Now, Jamie was definitely not checking for Haughna. He was checking for either Demi or Natalia. So I feel like in Shauna's head, in terms of her game plan, she was thinking, I don't want to look like a game player for going for Luke M. And I know I would definitely look like a game player if I was talking to both Luke M and Jamie about keeping me in the villa. It's all or nothing. So that is a risk, but it's a risk she's taking to try and make herself not look like a game player when she is one. Because she knows that Jamie was not checking for her. So her going up to him and acting like she's noble was all an act, because he wasn't checking for her anyway. Demi and Haughna talk to Luke M. Demi tells Luke M that he wants her to pick her, basically saying she wants him. But again, I don't think that is explicit enough. And I feel like for someone like Luke M, I feel like Demi needed to be a bit more explicit. As in, Luke M, I want to be with you and I only want to be with you. And if you pick me, then that's that. We are together, we are a couple, and that's that. Natalia is the only one who goes to speak to Jamie. We don't see Haughna do it, we don't see Demi do it. But interestingly, Jamie is talking about like, oh, that's bold for you telling me. And basically trying to keep it coy, like he might not pick her. You don't have any options, babe. Who came up to you after the text came through saying, if you don't get picked, you get dumped, and no one came up to speak to you? That is very telling. Nobody's checking for you. So I don't understand this whole, acting like he's unattainable to Natalia. Natalia is the only person checking for you, babe. I'm ready for them both to go, to be honest. Natalia, she's strange, but I really just don't like this Jamie guy. I feel like he is even worse than Natalia. They're building it up. Luke M is saying he's going to go with his gut, which would be quite interesting. What is his gut saying? Is his gut... Because if we're talking about gut on a romantic level, then he'd be choosing Demi. But if he's talking about gut as in, you want to live a nice life, let's get the 25k, it's going to be Haughna. So in terms of what the odds are, I feel like we all know the vulnerable people are going to be Natalia, Haughna and Demi. Now, Natalia only has one option. Her only option is to be picked by Jamie. If she's not picked by Jamie, then she's gone. Demi, she has a bit of leeway. She has two options because Jamie is also checking for her. But she did not go up to Jamie before recoupling, so he might be inclined to know who wants him and pick Natalia. So again, it could depend on the positioning. If Luke M was to go before Jamie and pick Haughna, then Jamie could still potentially save Demi. Jamie isn't stupid, and I think he would prefer to pick Demi over Natalia for his game, because he knows if he picks Natalia, he is going to be out in the next dumping. Haughna only has one option. She has to be picked by Luke M or she's going. I don't know if the producers will allow Haughna to be kicked off the island. As I said in my prior podcast, I feel like there is a Haughna agenda going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if Demi was the one who ended up being booted off the island. But then again, with Naz, you know, it was shocking. But again, the producers weren't really going out of their way for Naz. They went out of his way like once, and even still, it wasn't even that much. But what do you guys think? Do you think Haughna could potentially be a goner tomorrow, or do you feel like the producers would not allow that? But yeah, no first look again. It's just a bit cheeky. I don't know what's going on with this series, to be honest. On Twitter, people are saying that Haughna is a bad friend. Honestly, thinking about it now, Haughna, who's all about bro code, I personally don't think that, you know, if we're going by Haughna's, the realist's morals, that this is the type of behaviour that a friend would be doing, going after Luke M. Obviously the game is the game, but like, it's like when you are preaching one thing and doing the other, it's just a bit funky, babe. People are saying that Haughna's feelings for Luke M are fake and that she only wants to get with him to win the 50k. People are saying that Haughna's timeline of having feelings for Luke M when she was still with Callum is not making sense. People are here for Shanice's reaction to finding out that Haughna suddenly is interested in Luke M. People are saying that Natalia will do anything to stay in the villa. You know what? Natalia's a strange girl, yeah? But I can't knock her hustle. You know, she's doing whatever she can to stay in. And you know what? I've been seeing her followers, and her followers have been going out. Fair dues to the girl. People aren't here for Natalia. People are saying that Natalia needs to give Luke M his bed back. People are saying how they don't understand how Natalia could be sexually attracted to Jamie but not Luke. Ow, the disrespect. People are saying that Haughna's lies are worse than any of the other lies in the villa. Babe, you thought Mike was a liar. Haughna, the lies she has spun this episode, it's mad. It's all very mad. People are saying that Ched and Jess are not getting enough screen time. People are saying that they want Natalia out. Ooh, does Natalia rattle any of you guys? Honestly, I feel like after the whole Luke M situation, she's just been chilling, enjoying her holiday. Why has that got people pressed? Somebody said that Haughna telling Jamie before the recoupling she's not interested to show she's not playing a game. Girl. I already said my piece on that, but yeah, that was some reverse psychology. That was some trickery there. That was false, because Haughna knows that Jamie was not checking for her. So she's trying to make it look like she's not a game player, and you just fell for it, whoever tweeted that. People are saying Shanice is the queen of the villa and how she's speaking straight facts. Shanice is sharp, you know, she is. She's a very intellectual girl. People are saying that they don't want Demi to be damp. People are calling Haughna a hypocrite. People are saying that this series has felt like a GCSE drama improv. Honestly, the narrative is just so crazy. That is actually pretty accurate. I did GCSE drama and I had to sit on in some weird productions. Okay, that's pretty much the roundup of the tweets on Twitter. For those of you wondering, my handle is at shannonbafundilaenquiries. The link is in the bio. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you thought of this podcast. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put that notification bell on so you know when the next podcast is dropping. It could potentially be a juicy one tomorrow. But yes, till next time. Bye.